Welcome to Golf Smarter Mulligans, your second chance to gain insight and advice from the best instructors featured on the Golf Smarter podcast. Great golf instruction never gets old. Our interview library features hundreds of hours of game improvement conversations like this that are no longer available in any podcast app.
I was having this discussion with a couple of teachers the other day, and they asked me what percentage of golfers did I think started with the club face square? And I said probably 95%. Well, 90 to 95% of all the amateur golfers in the world slice it because they set up with the club face square. And they should be setting up with it slightly open, which is counterintuitive. But that's how it works. With the technology we have today, TrackMan, Flight Scope, and all that, will show you that the ball, except with the driver, is going to leave at 85 to 90% in the direction that the club face is pointed when the ball leaves the face. Primarily, your ball will start at a right angle to the leading edge of the club face. So if I want to hit a ball that starts to the right of target and then draws back, I need to align that way, but set my club face square to me, not to the target line. Because if I set it square to the target line, I'm either going to hit a fade or I'll hit the biggest pull hook you've ever seen.
With another interview from the archives of Golf Smarter, here's your host, Fred Green.
Welcome back to the Golf Smarter podcast, Chuck.
Hey, Fred. Thanks for having me. Great to be back again, man.
Yeah, it's great to have you. You're always a wealth of information, and I just love talking to you. How are things going with Medicus Golf?
Oh, they're going great. I mean, we are opening a new flagship location here in the Phoenix area out at Gold Canyon Golf Resort. And we're going to have our grand opening December 4th. That's on a Saturday. And so, we're really excited about that. And, of course, we're preparing for the PGA show like we do every year at this time. We have a new putter out called the Overspin. And it's kind of unique, Fred. I mean, it's... We tested it last year up in Ohio at the NEC, and they have these computerized devices that test how putters spin, how they hop, how they skid, all these things. And so while we were there, the guy that had the equipment was there, and so all the big name putter manufacturers were there, and all of them were being tested, and the Overspin was actually the only one that actually had pure spin on it. No hop, no side spin. So we're pretty excited about that. And
Medicus is known for their training clubs. And is this a training putter, or is this the?
No, it's a put it in your bag, play every day putter.
And when I'm curious what you're talking about, no spin. So, but even if your stroke is the type of stroke that you kind of come across the ball, something's gonna, I mean, does a ball usually spin off of a putter?
It does.
As opposed to roll? There's a difference between spin and roll, correct?
Yes. Well, the Overspin produced pure spin. In other words, end over end. You can cut across your putter, let's say like Billy Mayfair, and impart side spin on it. If you hit it below the equator, it'll produce hop. If you hit the ball dead in the back, in the middle, it produces skid. So the Overspin actually hits it slightly above center with the design of the putter, and that keeps it on the ground and produces pure roll.
And the goal obviously would be to have the ball on the ground as long as possible. I mean, people don't understand that putters do have loft to them, and they get off the ground when they first come off the face, correct?
Well, most putters do, correct, because of the design of the Overspin, it doesn't do that. Even though it does have loft, it keeps it on the ground. So to give you an example, years ago while I was in Florida, I had a PGA Tour player who finished second in the Masters one year, who's now off the tour. He's lost his card, but he was regarded as one of the world's greatest putters. And he was doing a putting clinic for us. And as I was watching this 30-foot putt, I kept seeing this ball in the air. So I ran in, grabbed my video camera, and I videotaped it. And his particular putting stroke on a 30-foot putt the ball was in the air 3 feet of that 30 feet.
Really?
So when it hits the ground, that actually is going to slow it down and put a little different spin on it. And when I showed it to him, he about fell over.
He had no idea.
He had no idea.
And he was still one of the best putters on the tour.
Right. So, at the end of the day, whatever you decide to use, as long as it produces the result you're trying to get, then that's all you can do. You could spend, amateurs especially, they spend so much time trying to hit the perfect golf shot, when in reality, the best players in the world will only hit 4 or 5 shots around exactly the way they want to.
Isn't that amazing?
But the average player expects to hit a perfect shot every single time.
Oh, yeah, and beat ourselves up just mercilessly if we don't.
Right. And if you'd work on shots 100 yards and in, that's where you're going to drop your shots. I mean, one of the things we do at our schools is we do a number of assessments. When a player first comes, we do a physical assessment. We do basically a mental DNA of how effectively they learn, what's the best way to work with them. One of the other assessments we do is a short game assessment within 60 feet of the hole, not yards, feet. And we have all of the tour stats, for the different things that we test, which are putts, chips, and short pitches. And by and large, the majority of players, if they only got 50% of the tour average, they would lower their handicap 7 to 10 shots. And that's 60 feet, not 60 yards.
Wow.
So there's a lot of telltale information there.
Yeah. It's amazing to me that people always just want to hit the ball as far as they can and get as close as they can, and yet when they get close, they realize it's probably not a good idea. You want to be at a place where you're more comfortable hitting the ball, and 60 feet may not be a good place. 60 yards for many people is a very uncomfortable spot to be in to try to get the ball next to the pin.
Well, it is, and because they never practice those shots.
Right.
If they go out and if they have 1 hour to practice, they'll usually go to the range and hit balls for 55 minutes, take 2 minutes to walk over the putting green, and then putt for 3 minutes. And then they're pretty much done with the practice. And where it ought to be the other way around.
Yeah. I found that recently I go straight to the putting green first.
Uh-huh.
I'll putt for 10, 15 minutes. Then I'll start chipping around the green if they allow me to. Right. And then I'll work my way out to the range where I'll start working on the 100 yards and in shots, and then 130 yards and in, and I just keep working my way longer so I can end my practice session with my driver, with a couple shots of my driver, and then walk to the first tee.
Right.
And that seems to have been working better for me.
Right. And another good way to get ready, to play golf is as you're going through your warm up, in addition to your stretching and your short game, is to play a couple of holes in your mind on the practice tee that you're going to play out on the golf course. So if you're going to use 3-wood off of the first tee, make sure you hit several 3-woods, before you go to the first tee. Try to play the hole like you would if you were on the golf course. So, it's not all the time that we have to hit driver. We can hit less club, hit the club that's going to get the ball in play and the farthest down the fairway.
Right. But, we're talking about that right now, but here we are recording this in November, and most people are starting to think about the long winter of not getting a chance to play. So let's spend a couple minutes talking about the off-season workout. An indoor workout, a practice program, a workout program. What do you advise for those people who, let's put it this way, for the people who are planning to play golf with us in February at our Golf Smarter Adventure in Scottsdale? What should they be doing in their off season if they are snowbound and stuck indoors?
Well, you can do a lot of learning inside. If you have a basement or a garage, I mean, you could set up a mirror, you can set up a net. Don't hit real golf balls. Hit the heavy foam balls, because the real ones will generally go through the net and then into your wall. So that's an added expense.
Not a good idea.
Yeah. But whatever it is you're working on, just stand in front of a mirror and watch as you make swings to see if you're doing what you actually think you're doing. And there are several, nets or netting cages, whatever you want to call them, that you can put up with like a little target hanging down on them. And let's say you want to get the ball started in the same location every time, which is a pretty good key to consistent golf. I mean, you can't have one starting right and one starting left. Just put something up there, if nothing else, a vertical strip of duct tape, which represents center, and then you have right or left, obviously to that. And then hit golf balls and see if you can all get them to start the same location. So if you want them to hit a little baby push draw, you get them to start to the right of that tape every single time. If you're somebody that fades the ball, you need to start at left of that piece of tape every single time. So you practice getting that ball started in the same place every time. So, and you can do that indoors. You can also set up a course and do putting drills. I mean, you can do virtually anything on the golf course. You can do indoors in front of a mirror and watch yourself do it.
I'm a little baffled right now because with so much effort put into keeping our head down, and you're hitting into a net, how would you know where it's going to hit on the net if you're not looking at it?
Well, number one,
I'm having really tough time visualizing how I'm able to see where it hit on the other side of that tape.
Right. Well, number one, you don't keep your head down. That's not a natural movement. As you're swinging through the shot and you're hitting the ball, your eyes are tracking. You're not looking down at the ground. People that keep their head down, that's a major reason why they can't finish their golf swings, because their arms start getting too short.
Oh, so they're not following through?
Well, they don't follow through. They've got their head stuck down. They can't follow through. You have to rotate your neck, eyes, and head. You have to rotate to follow the ball, which will then allow your chest to rotate. If you keep your head down, eye on the ball, which is one of the worst pieces of advice you could ever take, then you'll never see the golf ball. And if you're playing, in a group that plays for money, and you don't ever watch where your golf ball goes, somebody might tell you hit it in the water. You don't have a clue,
So what's what is this old wives' tale of you lifted your head? What did I do there? Oh, you lifted up. Are you lifting your back or are you lifting your head?
Yeah, you're not lifting your head. Nobody lifts their head. What happens is they lift their spine. It rises up, which forces the head up. I mean, if you look at two great players, Annika Sorenstam and David Duval, and there's a couple others out there. I mean, they're both major championship winners, obviously. David's been struggling the last few years, but, I think he'll really come back, one of these days. No. But you look at both of them. Yeah, if you look at both of them coming through impact, their head's already rotated to the outfield. They don't even see the golf ball.
Yeah, I've noticed that about Annika. I've noticed it's like, wow, look at how far forward her head is before, at ball strike. I mean, it seems like she really moved forward. It's like, wait a minute, that's counter to everything everyone ever says, but it's not.
No, it isn't. And actually, Annika's coach was the guy that got her to do that because she was under the assumption that she had to keep her head down, eye on the ball. So, the old wives' tale.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Well, and then you have to think about keep your eye on the ball. Well, the best blind golfers in the world consistently break 80. They never see the ball.
Yeah. But they're also the best golfers.
But they're blind.
But they're blind.
Yeah.
You just point me in the right direction, huh?
Yeah, I mean, anybody.
Have you ever worked with a blind golfer?
I have once. I've also worked with a little person golfer, and when he showed up, his driver was actually longer than he was tall. So that made for an interesting swing plane.
That's almost like on a baseball tee.
Yeah, you go out and sit up on your knees, and you'll get a feel for what that would feel like.
And how far could he drive the ball?
Yeah, about 220.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah. Strong little guy.
Yeah. Well, and the blind golfer, I mean, all you have to do is you set them up to the ball. You had them adjust until they're aimed where you want them to aim, and you set the club down behind the ball, and then you just tell them to swing.
Amazing.
So.
And what are we whining about all the time then? I mean, take away one of your major senses or, some physical, there's one-legged golfer. There's lots of stories of golfers with what would seem to be major disabilities. And it's like you're out on the golf course and yet they make it work.
Right. Well, and again, if you want something bad enough, you're going to figure out how to make it work.
That's true.
I mean, I don't know a single golfer that has ever told me they don't want to improve.
Yeah, absolutely.
They all tell you that they want to play better golf.
Oh, my favorite is when you ask them, do you play golf? And they're always like, well, I'm not very good. Well, listen, everybody complains about how they play. I'm not very good.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Everyone complains. And we're really not that much different.
Yeah, and they'll tell you they want to play better, but at the end of the day, what are they doing to actually improve?
Right. Going out and playing golf.
Yeah, I mean, if you keep doing the same thing over and over, you're going to get the same result.
And if you're expecting something different, right, we know about the definition of insanity.
Yeah. Definition of insanity. That is it.
If you were to advise somebody like me on the off-season practice, would you focus more on your full swing or your putting stroke? If you're in indoor practice, you're stuck with indoor practice for the off-season months.
Well, if you work that much, when you're working on your putting indoors, you're really working on more of the line and not the speed and your alignment, how you're set up to it. Because obviously the speed's going to be different indoors than it is outside.
Right.
So you're not really concerned with speed because, if you spend all summer, all winter indoors, putting on a tile floor, for example, and then you go out to the putting green, you're going to leave every putt about 25 feet short because you're used to hitting it at a certain speed. So the things that you're focusing on actually are more of how you're setting up and the path of your putter, your alignments. But I would spend a lot of time if you have a particular issue, and let's say that your issue is right before impact, you throw the club past your hand so your club head gets to the ball before your hands do, that I would spend a lot of time setting up a pillow, a duffel bag, something like that, just at the edge of your left shoulder and get your arms and club all the way to that impact bag or that pillow. That'll force you to maintain your extension through the ball instead of doing the old chicken wing. Yeah.
And it sounds like what you're saying is that both on your full swing and your putting, it's more about the path of the ball once it leaves the club face than anything.
Yeah, well, you have
that first 3 feet, the first 3-4 feet is critical, correct?
Well, the ball leaves the club face at almost a 90-degree angle to the leading edge, regardless of the swing path. So if I swung outside in and my club face was square to that path, I would hit a pull, so my ball is going to start in that direction. Mm-hmm. So if I was swinging inside out, I would want my club face square to my alignment. So if I was aimed to the right, I want my club face square to that, which is actually open to the target line, and that's going to produce a draw. So it's just the opposite of what everybody thinks. I was having this discussion with a couple of teachers the other day, and they asked me what percentage of golfers did I think started with the club face square? And I said probably 95%. Well, 90 to 95% of all the amateur golfers in the world slice it because they set up with the club face square. And they should be setting up with it slightly open. which is counterintuitive.
Absolutely. I'm stunned.
But that's how it works. I mean, all the studies on with the technology we have today, TrackMan, Flight Scope, and all that, will show you that the ball, except with the driver, is going to leave at 85 to 90% in the direction that the club face is pointed when the ball leaves the face. Now, because the driver is moving at a faster speed, it's a little less than that. But primarily, your ball will start at a right angle to the leading edge of the club face. So if I want to hit a ball that starts to the right of target and then draws back, I need to align that way, but set my club face square to me, not to the target line. Because if I set it square to the target line, I'm either going to hit a fade or I'll hit the biggest pull hook you've ever seen.
What do you find at the Medicus Golf Schools that you're working with mostly with your students? Do you have a set curriculum, or is it really based on the needs of your students at the time?
Well, it's based on the needs of the students, but I can tell you that all of them have one of two issues, unless they're already tour caliber players. They either had the club head going past the hands at impact, so we call that a bent left wrist, or their swing is so far off plane they can't do anything. So we spend a lot of time on learning how to acquire what we call precision alignments of your hands, arm, body, and club through the ball, because that's going to give you your direction. It's going to give you your curvature. It's going to help with your accuracy. If you keep throwing the club head past your hands, what that actually does is bend the plane. It bends what we call the radius that extends from your left shoulder to the club head, and it closes the club face, all in one move. So we spend a lot of time on what we call alignments, and alignments aren't feet, knees, hips, and shoulders. That's just part of a setup. The alignments are where is the club face relative to the target line? Where are you striking the golf ball? Where are your hands relative to the club face? Where's your body relative to your hands and arms? I mean, those are alignments. I mean, if you were going to hit a baseball, I mean, we learned, I didn't, but nowadays they teach them on T-ball. They learn how to hit that ball off that T-ball stand. But if you watch Major League Baseball, those players are able to hit balls that are low, balls that are high, and balls that are right down the pipe.
Right.
So they're adjusting their stroke of that club or that bat into that baseball, depending on where the ball's pitched.
Sure.
Well, fortunately for us, that ball's always on the ground or on a tee. You know, we don't have to worry about it.
Moving at 90 miles an hour, yeah.
Yeah. So it ought to be the easiest thing in the world to do, to hit a golf ball.
Yeah, it ought to be. But clearly it's not.
Actually, it is. It's the easiest thing to do is to hit it. The hardest thing to do is to be effective doing it. So,
you're absolutely right. It is. Well, some days it's not the easiest thing to do, but it is the easiest thing to do to hit it. But what it does after it leaves the club face, that's where most of our problems begin.
That's right. And all of that goes back to what I just talked about, alignments. Where is the face related to the plane, the path, and or the target line? And, you know, for a right-handed golfer, your left hand controls how that club face is going to operate. So, you know, everybody out there has a grip that will bring their hand back to a location for a certain club face alignment. And that player has to find out what that grip is for them. They might look down and see no knuckles. They might look down and see 4 knuckles. You know, and the fallacy is that if you have a strong left hand, you're going to hook it. Well, Freddie Couples doesn't hook it. David Duval doesn't hook it, and they have one of the strongest grips on tour.
Yeah.
And then you look at Nicklaus. You look at Jose Maria Olazabal. You look at Tiger's semi-weak. I mean, weak grips, and Jose Maria fades it. Jose Maria, hooks it. Nicklaus fades it. But Nicklaus fades it because he's on a really steep plane and holding it off. So it's not necessary that you have a real strong left hand if you're trying to draw the ball, what you have to do is set up to hit the draw shot with the face slightly open on an in to out path. Then you will hit a draw.
Right. So now that you're out in the Phoenix area, it's so awesome because you reached out to me once you heard that we've announced our Scottsdale Adventure coming up this February, our Golf Smarter Adventure. And you have made an incredibly generous offer. I'm so excited about this. And we'll start backwards. We get together on Wednesday night, February 9th. We all check in. Thursday, we're going to be playing Thursday morning at Grayhawk, and we'll have our first group dinner on Thursday night. And you have said that you will join us for our dinner on Thursday night to do a live Q&A. We're going to record a conversation with our group and with you answering their questions, and we'll turn it into a future Golf Smarter podcast episode. Which is just wonderful. Thank you for that's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to have a lot of fun that night. So we encourage people. Here's one more bonus to those 4 rounds of golf is that Chuck is going to join us for dinner, and we'll sit around and chat with him, and you can ask him anything about your swing, about golf, about what it takes. But I want to take it a step further with your offer, and that is that the morning of that round, we're going to be playing at the Raptor course at Grayhawk. You have offered to come out and give us a clinic before we hit the driving range. I'm just kind of blown away that you're offering this. I'm so excited about it. And for those players who are coming and not having a chance to play or play very much over the winter months, and you're going to be ice cold, what a great way to get started is to have someone look at your swing and give you some tips. Talk to me about what a short 1 hour, 45-minute clinic would be like.
Well, primarily it's going to be me trying to talk my way through all that stuff. But, and I will probably bring a couple of people up, one of them being Fred Green, to demonstrate some things that I'm going to be talking about. But, we're going to talk about a lot of things. As players, we need to know basically 3 things to really work on our golf swing. We need to figure out, do we want to feel like we stay on top of the ball during the swing? Do we want to feel like we move to the right in the backswing, or that's moving off the ball? Because that's your only 2 choices, stay on top of it or move off of it. Then we have to figure out, are we going to push the club through like Arnold Palmer, Lee Trevino, or are we going to pull the club through like Freddie Couples, Steve Elkington, and Bobby Jones? And then on top of that, we also need to figure out, once we've done that, how we're going to control that club face. So those 3 things you need to know right off the bat, and how you want to do that. Pick one of those 2 options, and then you work with the things within those 2 options. Awesome.
And so that is going to happen that morning, our first round of golf on the Thursday morning of this Golf Smarter Adventure, that Chuck Evans will join us, give us a quick clinic. We'll hit the driving range, and then we'll attack the Raptor course. This is going to be really a great weekend of golf. It's going to be so much fun, and now it's going to be some lessons as well as going out and playing golf. This is so cool. Chuck, thanks.
You're welcome. I mean, it'll be a lot of fun. I mean, the clinics are entertaining. And we will do some special things, kind of surprise things. They'll have to show up so they can actually see what it is. But I think the biggest kick and the biggest thing for everybody will be to see you standing up there as my assistant and demonstrating all of these things. So
I don't find that very funny.
You better get to work.
I really don't find that very. Do I really have to be the guinea pig for this thing? It's one thing to come out there and expose myself after talking like this for so many years, and now I have to go out and be the guinea pig for this.
Well, actually, what I'm going to do, I mean, it's one thing for me to say this is your options. Yeah. So, but if I had you do these options, people can see the differences, then they can make their choice too.
Right.
So,
right.
But yeah, we'll show them how to hit different shots. They want to hit a draw, if they want to hit a fade, they want to hit it high, they want to hit it low, whatever the shot is they want to hit. We'll show them how to do that.
Oh, good.
And then after the clinic and they go to the range and warm up, they can then work on those things that we discussed and then take you to the golf course and have a career round.
Yeah, absolutely. And these 4 rounds that we're going to be playing, Grayhawk, TPC Stadium course in Scottsdale, True North, and Kierland. These are not competitive rounds, folks. We're not competing here. We're just going out to have a good time, some good laughs, and meet one another and play golf. I mean, that's the motivation for all of this.
Well, I'm sure there'll be somebody that's going to want to have a little action out there. So
always gonna be, ew, nice swing. Yeah.
Right.
So tell me quickly about one more time about the overspin putter that you're going to be premiering this out at the PGA show in Orlando.
Yeah, we had it last year. We announced it last year. We just filmed a couple of quick clips, to hit the airwaves, be on the Golf Channel and some other TV channels. They're just little quick spots, and we're testing those right now for the response on them. And so far, the responses on the spots have been great. The response on the putter has been phenomenal. So you should be seeing those. We probably won't be until after the first year, but you should be seeing those. I will have one out there so they can, everybody can take a look at it.
Oh, when you come to our clinic, are you going to bring one of the putters with you?
Yeah, I'll bring one of the putters. In fact, I'll bring several of the things that we use for training in golf schools every day, so people can see them. If they want to hit something off of them, they can. So,
well, and Medicus is really known for some great training tools.
Yeah, I mean, that most of the people, when you say Medicus, they think of the hinge club.
Right.
Well, we have so many more things than that. I mean, the overspin putter itself, there's 6 different models of the overspin. So that's not counting all of the other products we have. I mean, the hinge club is our, flagship program, if that's what you want to call it. But at the end of the day, we have so many other things. I mean, we have in that hinge club, we have it in a driver, we have it in a 5-iron, a 7-iron, a wedge. We have things for short game. We have things to feel like your body and arms move together. We have, heavy hittable weighted clubs available in a driver, 7-iron, wedge. We have a device you can click on your club to tell you how fast you're swinging at impact. And then we have another device called a vision track, which shows you the angle that the golf club itself should travel back and down the swing, and you hit golf balls off of it. So
lots.
We've got a ton of things.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, on December 4th, just outside of Phoenix at Gold Canyon Golf Course is when you're going to be opening your new flagship Medicus Golf School.
Right, at Gold Canyon Golf Resort. It's actually, like I said, about 30 minutes from the airport, straight out Highway 60 going east. And you'll go past Mesa, Apache Junction, and then you'll come into Gold Canyon. But, yeah, it's going to be at December 4th.
For what time?
We start at 10 o'clock exactly, because that's when the introduction and the clinic starts. So if you show up later than 10 o'clock, you're going to miss the whole opening and probably not have an idea what we're talking about.
All right.
So,
and if you do, you are in the area, live there or around there at that time, and you make it over, please introduce yourself to Chuck and tell him you heard about it on the Golf Smarter podcast. I'd love to meet you, I'm sure.
That would be great. In fact, I live straight across the street from it, so I can walk to work.
And then you can go back to his house and have a sandwich.
Right. I'll take a nap, whatever the case may be.
Oh, Chuck, it's so great to talk to you again. Thanks so much. And again, I can't thank you enough for your generous offer of a clinic at the Golf Smarter Scottsdale Adventure coming up in February, our opening round. Get it started with a clinic. How perfect for that. And then again, that night at our dinner, you'll join us. We'll sit around, we'll have dinner together, and then we'll do a Q&A and record the whole thing and make it in another for you to appear on another Golf Smarter podcast. And for our clinic, I'll bring out my video camera. We'll be videotaping a bunch of that as well.
There you go. Well, it sounds great, and I can't wait, Fred.